We should not be surprised that self-control makes it into Paul's fruit of the Spirit list in Galatians chapter 5. It's a rare enough word in the New Testament. It only occurs 3 times, but nevertheless it's a common idea. Not only so, but it is one of the few parts of the fruit that Paul elsewhere applies specifically to leaders. Look up Titus 1 verse 8, for example. But I want to suggest to you that the kind of self-control Paul has in mind in Galatians is not always quite what we think it is. What is in your mind right now as you think about self-control? I'm guessing, like me, you're thinking about the quality of being able to resist, to be able to control desires. You might be thinking about it in relation to food or alcohol. And elsewhere Paul does too. After all, in 1 Timothy 3, an elder must not be given to drunkenness, which implies a degree of self-control. But the word is more than this, more than not being able to stop eating chocolate or reaching for the bottle. The clue is again in the context. These fruits are, remember, relational. They are about how we interact and deal with each other. For sure, gluttony or drunkenness are going to have a profound effect on our relationships and are both arguably disqualifying leadership sins. But in the Galatian context, it is much more likely that Paul is talking about being able to keep our whole selves in check. Or to put it another way, self-control is the Spirit-given ability to control emotions and impulses, and not just appetites. And it's a critical fruit for leaders. It means being able to restrain our response. It's sometimes helpful in the fruit to look back at Galatians 5 and see the acts of the flesh, which stand in contrast. And note how many are countered by self-control: sexual immorality, hatred, discord, jealousy, fits of rage, and so on. These are the natural inclinations which rise up in us, and self-control addresses them all. Take a very simple but common situation. Monday morning, you get an email, pings in the inbox from someone in the church, complaining about something or other, perhaps a sermon that you've preached. What are your first instincts? Well, to defend yourself strongly. Self-control tackles that. Maybe to get angry. Self-control tackles that. Maybe to harbour bitterness. Self-control tackles that. This is a supreme leadership quality, and it comes from the Spirit. I think it is most perfectly seen in the way Jesus himself restrains when provoked. In such moments, it would have been righteous to respond. After all, he was being unfairly prosecuted. But it would have deviated from the mission at hand. So we read this: when they hurled their insults at him, he did not retaliate. When he suffered, he made no threats. Self-control is being able to hold back from an unwise response. Notice, will you, that if we take the example of Jesus, sometimes this means that the quality of self-control trumps the immediate pursuit of justice. Someone says something to us that is not true or even justified. It can be right on occasion to correct and rebuke, but sometimes self-control allows us to wisely drop an otherwise inflammatory response. That is surely following the way of the Master and being filled with the Spirit just as he was.